If you've ever looked at your child and felt that drop in your stomach, like, I don't recognize who they're being with me lately, or you've thought they're pulling away and I don't know how to stop it, take a breath, because what's happening is often not just bad co-parenting, it's manipulation. And the part nobody prepares you for is this: the manipulation doesn't just happen over there. It shows up in your home through your child's nervous system, through their questions, their defensiveness, their sudden loyalty shift, their shutdown. And if you respond with panic, interrogation, emotional dumping, or constant tension, even if it's totally understandable, your home can start to feel just as stressful as the other home. And kids don't just pick the right parent. Kids pick the parent whose presence feels safest to their nervous system. So here's the high stakes promise I want to make to you today. If you can learn to spot the 7 most common manipulation tactics toxic co-parents use on kids, and you can learn to respond calmly, consistently, in a way that builds your child's self-trust, you can dramatically reduce the odds of your child getting pulled into the confusion, fear, and loyalty binds. Not by controlling your co-parent, but by controlling your side of the dynamic. Because they're going to be who they are. But you get to decide who you are in this. And that decision changes the outcome. I've seen it too many times. 2 parents can be dealing with the same type of toxic co-parent, and one slowly loses the relationship with their child, while the other becomes the child's safe base. And the difference is rarely who has better evidence. It's who creates less stress in the child's body. It's who makes it easier for the child to breathe, think, and feel for themselves. That's what we're doing here. Now, by the end of this video, you're going to be able to name all 7 tactics: emotional control and enmeshment, reality manipulation, conditional love, loyalty binding, autonomy suppression, fear conditioning, nervous system overload. And for each one, I'm going to give you a calm response, real words you can use that protect your child without pulling them into the middle. And while we do that, I want you to keep one guiding principle in your mind. The goal isn't to expose your co-parent to your child. The goal is to grow your child's self-trust. Because when kids trust themselves, manipulation loses its grip. I worked with a parent who told me, my child comes back from the other house like a different person. They're combative, they're cold, and they say things that sound very scripted. And at first, this parent did what most loving parents do. They tried to fix it fast. They asked a lot of questions, they defended themselves, they tried to point out the inconsistencies. They were tense all the time because they were scared. And then the child started dreading transitions, not just because of what was happening over there, but because what they were coming home to meant emotional pressure, even though the parents' intentions were pure. When we shifted the focus from how do I prove the other parent is wrong to how do I lower stress in my home and strengthen my child's inner compass, the child softened. Not instantly, but steadily. They stopped arguing as much. They started talking more. They started asking their own questions. And the parents stopped feeling like they were constantly losing ground. That's the shift that I want for you. And if you're watching this and thinking, this is my life, and I'm scared I'm responding in the way that's making it worse, I want you to book a call with me. We're not going to solve every single problem on this call. We're not going to try to fix your co-parent, but we are going to explore what's happening and, more importantly, how we are responding to it. Because that part, your energy, your presence, your patterns under stress, often determines whether your child experiences your home as relief or as more pressure. If you want support with that, book a call and we can see if I'm the right person to help you. All right, let's get into the 7 tactics. And as we go through, I'm going to keep bringing this back to one truth. You can't control the other parent, but you can control the emotional climate your child lives inside when they're with you. And that climate becomes your child's lifeline. Manipulative tactic number 1 is emotional control and enmeshment. This is where the toxic parent pulls the child into an emotional role that is not theirs. The child becomes the comforter, the confidant, the tiny adult, the one who has to make the parent feel okay. So you'll hear things like, Mom was crying when I left. Dad said I'm the only one who understands them. Or your child starts acting like they're responsible for someone else's emotional state. Now, here's where good parents accidentally spike the stress. They hear this and they go straight into anger or a speech, a lecture, or an interrogation. And your child's body feels it instantly. So instead, your calm response is simple and powerful. You say, whoa, that's a lot for a kid to hold. And then you pause. Let your child feel that you're not panicking in this moment. Then, I want you to remember that grown-ups are responsible for grown-up feelings. Your job is to be a kid. And if your child feels guilty because enmeshment always instills guilt, soften and add, you can love them and you still don't have to carry them. Now, this is actually the exact reason I wrote one of the main bedtime stories in my children's book, Seeds of Self-Trust. It's called Rue and the Worry Basket. Rue is a little raccoon who starts holding a grown-up's worries like it's her job, like she has to keep them okay. And her guide, who is an owl, gently teaches her big worries belong to grown-ups, and grown-ups can talk to other grown-ups about big worries. And Rue gets to be a kid again. That's the seed of self-trust right there. My feelings and my role belong to me. Let's pause on that. When our children are being used emotionally, your job isn't to snap them out of it. Your job is to make your home a place where they get to put that weight down. Tactic number 2 is reality manipulation. This is the gaslighting dynamic. Your child is trained not to trust what they saw, heard, or felt. They're told, that didn't happen, you're remembering wrong, you're being dramatic. And slowly, the child learns my reality is negotiable, which makes them easier to control. Now, here's the trap. When kids come home repeating a distorted story, parents often get frantic and try to correct every detail. And I get it. But the frantic energy is what the child remembers, not your accuracy. So your calm response is, tell me what you remember, and then reflect without judgment. Okay, so from your perspective, it felt like this. And this is the crucial line. Thank you for telling me. I believe that's what you experienced. And if you want a child-friendly way to picture what's happening here, this is exactly why I wrote a story about a young deer who keeps saying that they have seen something. And an older deer keeps correcting them until they start doubting their own eyes. And the guy teaches one simple truth. It's okay to listen to yourself first. Not to argue, just to reconnect with yourself. Notice what you're doing. You're not putting your child in the position of proving anything. You're re-anchoring them into their own inner knowing. Then you can add, it's okay if people tell you different stories. You're still allowed to trust what you saw and felt. That sentence is protection. By the way, if you're listening to this and realizing, oh my gosh, I've been responding from fear and it's adding pressure on my child, book a call with me. Again, it's not a call where we're going to change your co-parent. It's a call where we're going to look at what you're seeing and most importantly, how you're showing up inside of it. Because when you shift your response, you shift the emotional climate. And that's what your child bonds to. If you want support with that, book a call and we'll see if it's a fit. All right, back to it. Manipulation tactic number 3, conditional love. Conditional love is I love you when you agree with me, when you mirror me, when you reject the other parent, when you perform. And kids learn fast. Love is something I earn. So they become pleasing, vigilant, careful, or they become defiant and shut down. Now, a stressed out, healthy parent can unintentionally mirror conditional love too. Usually not with a big dramatic statement, but with little pressured moments. It can sound like, can you not talk about the other parent right now? Must be nice over there, in a very sarcastic way. Or you always come back with an attitude. And sometimes it's not even what you say. It's the way your face drops, your tone changes, or you get quiet when they mention having fun there. Even if you don't mean it that way, it can land as, parts of me aren't welcome here unless I'm easy, loyal, or pleasant. So your calm response is to make love non-negotiable while keeping behavioral boundaries. You say, in this home, you don't have to earn love. Then, even when you're upset, even when you're confused, even when you say something that hurts, I'm still your parent and I still love you. And then you can add a boundary. And we're going to speak respectfully. Let's try that again. That combo is everything. Unconditional love, consistent structure, low stress. Let me say this clearly. Your child does not become resilient because you win arguments. They become resilient because you become emotionally steady. Manipulation tactic number 4 is the loyalty bind. This is the choose me trap. The toxic parent openly or subtly makes the child feel guilty for loving you or afraid to enjoy you. So the child starts hiding joy. They stop talking about fun memories. They edit themselves. And then you might feel it and panic and push harder for reassurance. Do you even like being here? Are you mad at me? Tell me what they said. That pressure makes the loyalty bind worse. So your calm response is permission. You say, you never have to choose between loving me and loving them. Then, it's safe if you love both your parents. And if your child says, but they'll be mad, you validate the position. That's really hard. I'm sorry you're in the middle of that. This is why I love the story Clover and the Path Between in my book, Seeds of Self-Trust. Clover hears one adult speak badly about the other caretaker. And with a guide's help, she learns loving one parent doesn't mean that you stop loving another. And if a grown-up teaches you that you can only love one, that's pressure. Kids need permission to love freely. Then you offer an empowering rule without making them the messenger. You don't have to keep secrets that make your stomach feel bad. You can always tell me anything. You're not in trouble. That teaches their body to recognize coercion. Let's pause. This might sound small, but when your child senses that they are responsible for your emotional state, they start making choices to reduce your reaction. Not to tell the truth, to reduce stress. So you remove the stress. Manipulation tactic number 5 is autonomy suppression. This is when the child's separateness is punished. Their no isn't allowed. Their preferences are mocked. Their identity is shaped. They get told what they think, what they feel, what they meant. And over time, the child stops checking in with themselves. They check in with power. Now, here's where you can be radically different without ever mentioning the other parent. You build autonomy like a muscle. You say you're allowed to like what you like, and you offer safe, small choices. Do you want quiet time first or a snack first? Do you want to talk or do you want space? And when they say, I don't know, or ask you to choose for them, don't get frustrated. That's not defiance. That's disconnection from themselves. So you say, that's okay, let's pick between these two choices. This communicates your voice matters. And your home becomes a place where they reconnect with their own inner signal. Manipulation tactic number 6 is fear conditioning. Fear conditioning is when compliance is trained through fear, anger, withdrawal, punishment, unpredictability. The child becomes hyper-aware. They scan constantly. And when they come to you, they might look fine, but their body is still buzzing. Or they explode the second they feel safe, because safety is when the nervous system finally discharges. Now, if you respond to the discharge with your own overload, whether that's raised voices, threats, or emotional collapse, your home stops being the safe base for your child. So your calm response is, I can see your body is on high alert. Then you're safe here. We're going to calm down. And then you lead them through simple regulation. Let's get water. Let's sit for a minute. Let's do 3 slow breaths. And if they're acting out, you hold a firm, calm boundary. I won't let you hit or yell at me. And then warmth. And I'm not leaving you. We'll get through this together. Boundary plus safety. That's what rewires fear. And finally, emotional manipulation tactic number 7, the nervous system overload. This is the one that quietly destroys clarity, because when a child is overloaded, too much stimulation, too little sleep, emotional chaos, adult conversations, they lose access to critical thinking. And when kids can't think clearly, they become much more vulnerable to suggestion and pressure. So here's your job. Make your home the nervous system reset. Not the prove a point home, not the let's talk about what happened over there home, the reset home. Predictable rhythm, predictable food, predictable bedtime routine, predictable reconnection. And honestly, this is why I included a story in my book called Dot and the Shifting Dock. Dot is trying to stand on something that keeps moving, and they learn that they don't have to manage that shifting feeling alone. It's okay to ask for comfort. It's okay to find a safe person and a safe space to land. That's exactly what your predictable routine provides. And here's one of my favorite lines when they walk in. I'm really happy you're here. Do you want closeness or space? This one question lowers pressure and restores autonomy instantly. Then later, when they're regulated, you plant the seed. If anything ever feels confusing, you can talk to me. You don't have to protect me. I can handle it. That's huge, because many kids don't talk because they're trying to manage your reaction. So you show them, I'm steady. Now, I want to say something that might be hard to hear, but I'm saying it with so much compassion. A lot of parents lose their children emotionally, not because they're the worst parent, but because the stress in their home becomes too high. And kids will always move towards the environment that feels simpler, easier, and less emotionally damaging, even if it's unhealthy, even if it's built on manipulation. Because the child's nervous system is not choosing based on morality. It's choosing based on survival. So if you're taking nothing else from this video, please take this. Your power is not in controlling the other parent. Your power is in becoming the calm, consistent, emotionally safe place that your child can return to. And when you do that, you don't just protect your child, you protect your relationship. You protect their future ability to trust themselves, to protect their ability to say later in life, I know what's true for me. And that's the win. If you're watching this and realizing I need support staying regulated, responding differently, and creating a lower stress home for my child, book a call with me. We'll go through exactly what you're experiencing and see if my support is the right support for you. Because your child is already under pressure. Let's make your home the place where their nervous system finally exhales. Book a call and we'll take the next step from there.